So, Zack Snyder appeared on the Rogan podcast, and he said some quite incredible things regarding his films. If you are fortunate enough to be unaware of Zack Snyder, in a very similar fashion to M. Night Shyamalan, he has been riding the wave of his first couple of movies, which were okay, and has rode that wave into the abyss. He appeared with a remake of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which was a very snappy, poppy, fun remake. It was pretty good. He then did 300, which again, I must admit, I am a Zack Snyder apologist. I understand him to be a hack, as we will see in this video. I understand him to be a hack, but I do enjoy some of his films, just purely because I enjoy comic books, and they're the only ones that exist. There is only one film version of Watchmen that exists, so just, I guess by virtue of that, I enjoy it, the fact that it exists. Nothing to do with Zack Snyder. In fact, I enjoy it in spite of the person making it. Famously, he was given the keys to the DC cinematic universe and made a Superman film, Man of Steel, which was, I guess, it was okay. It was pretty bad, to be honest, in hindsight. And then famously did Batman Superman, or infamously did Batman versus Superman. So let's hear what he has to say about Batman and Superman in general.
Like, we make myth, modern myth. Movies are modern myth. Superhero movies are modern myth. Like, is it not the same when you say, like, we have Superman, right, and Batman, whatever. Are they not the mythic answer to a lot of modern questions about, like, how we should live? You know, like, you say Superman, is he not an invention, a 20th century invention that says to us, like, all the fucking shit that we run up against, whether it be war or like class struggle, or whether it be, relationships between different countries, does Superman not appear in answer to us primitive brains trying to figure out where we are? Like, you make a guy like Superman so he can answer some of those questions. He can represent a point of view that is not helpless in the face of the insanity that is, like, the problems of the 20th century. And I think, and Batman in the same way, he's an answer to, like, the urban jungle needs a myth, just like the ancient jungle needed a myth, or the ancient, those all, like, in those days we'd say, like, why is the volcano erupting, right? But now we say, because we didn't know, we're just like, I guess it's the gods are mad, Right. But now we have, now the problem is, like, why do I feel helpless in the face of technology or whatever? Right. So we need an answer. We need an additional answer. And I think that's what I've always, and I feel like genre has allowed me to make those comments,
Where to begin with that? Superman was a power fantasy for children. That's what he was written as. Those children grew up and became creative and mature adults, and they matured the heroes with them. Of course, until the Comics Code Authority neutered them, but that's besides the point. That's a whole other video. Just because you may or may not be religious and don't believe in a god or a pantheon of gods does not mean there aren't lots of people in the world who are. I mean, Batman may well be your god, but a lot of people have other ones that if you watch the news, even at a glance, you can see that people take their gods very seriously, and so to say that what Batman and Superman are stories. It's to say that Luke Skywalker is a god. I mean, he is within the universe, but I'm getting off topic. Probably the most outlandish clip that has actually went viral was Zack's thoughts on Batman specifically, who people had teething problems with Ben Affleck's version of Batman. I very much enjoy. I think it's a shame that Ben Affleck was in a Zack Snyder written Batman film. If Ben Affleck had a chance to write it, or hire other people to write it as he was going to, it's one of the great what ifs of cinema. I think. But let's hear what Zack has to say about Batman.
Like, people are always like, well, Batman can't kill, right? So Batman can't kill is canon. And I'm like, okay, well, the first thing I want to do when you say that is I want to see what happens. And they go like, well, don't put him in a situation where he has to kill someone. I'm like, well, that's just like, you're protecting your God in a weird way, right? You're making your God irrelevant if he can't be in that situation.
I mean, absolutely all of that is wrong, to be fair. And as he says, put Batman in a situation where he has to kill someone. A good writer would write a way for him to not kill the person that he's in. That's the beauty of Batman. He's in lots of situations where he has to kill people. And in terms of Batman being a god, again, misunderstanding the character. Batman constantly grapples with his own humanity and his own desire to kill the Joker specifically. It's always a theme of a lot of Batman stories, is if things would be a lot easier if he just killed the Joker, but if he does that, he descends into darkness. Another murderer, another vigilante murderer is not what the city that he is protecting needs, so he stops himself from becoming that through his own human moral, not because he's a god. Anyway, I could get into all day about why his views on Batman are so wrong. But just to stick with comic books, there's another clip where, just to show how wrong Zack Snyder is as a person, I suppose, just to show how askew Zack Snyder's moral compass is as well, probably from being in the Hollywood system for so long. Here is Zack Snyder talking about a scene in Watchmen that involved a minor.
There was a scene that we did in that movie where because Rorschach's mom was a prostitute, right? So there's that scene where Rorschach's mom in the flashbacks like, I should have had that abortion, right? And she slaps him in the face, right? Because he hears, Mom, is he hurting you? Like, because she's having sex with some John in there. And then she opens the door and she's like, he's like, is he hurting you? I should have had that abortion, slapped him. And I had wanted the mother to be topless in that scene. And they were like, nah, like, you can't have. And it's cool because his mother was visiting set that day, and his mom was there, and she was like, oh, you're putting our son in a movie? Like, we weren't together at the time, his mom and I, but we're really close friends. But like, she was an actress, and I said, and they went, the only way that the woman could be topless is if it was actually his mom. And I was like, oh, I go, Denise. And she was like, no chance.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that with a fucking barge pole. Moving on to end with just a funny clip regarding 300, which very homoerotic film. If you have seen 300, it's a lot of rippling oiled men. It's fucking great. So yeah, it's just a funny clip to end, just to give you an insight into what Zack Snyder's creative force was on the set of 300.
They did this ritual with this like table of cheese where like all these Spartan warriors would stand around the table, and all the 13-year-olds who were ready to like transition into becoming true Spartans, you'd have to like try and get and pull a piece of cheese off this stone table, and the Spartan warriors who guarded the table could do anything to stop you. And it was just beating the crap out of these 13-year-olds, and finally, like, if you got it, then you were given to a Spartan soldier who raised you. And basically the idea was that he was your lover, he was your teacher, he was everything to you. Because the Spartans believed that, really they believed that you would die for your brother if you were also lovers. They thought that like, if you were confused about why we're fighting, fight for that guy who's not only your best buddy, but like, there's like a story, I guess, where they were like, when the Persians first came, they sent a scout over, and they looked down at the Spartans right the night before the big battle, and he went back and he goes, they were all like having sex with each other. It was like a weird, like they're like, we're going to be good. And there was one of the Spartans kings the old Spartan king was now working with the Persians and said like, oh no, we're fucked. They're saying goodbye to each other. Do you know what that means? Like, we're completely screwed. Like, they're going to, like, we're going to get murdered tomorrow, like, and they were like, you're nuts. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, they're a bunch of softies. Like, let's go get them.
What if that's the key to being the absolute greatest army? You have to be gay.
Yeah.